Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, welcome everybody today to our very exciting event, our celebration of The Alchemist. We have many things to celebrate today, and we want to move quickly to get to all of your questions, but I first want to introduce our two honored guests, of course, legendary author Paulo Coelho, who celebrates this year 20 years of The Alchemist. The Alchemist, as many of you know, has been translated into 66 languages, published in 150 countries, has sold 4 million copies in the U.S. here alone, and all of Paulo's titles have sold over 100 million copies worldwide. This is also a very special week because this Sunday, the New York Times bestseller list will celebrate 1 solid year for The Alchemist on the list. Very, very big news. Our second very important guest is legendary actor Mr. Lawrence Fishburn, who has been involved with over 70 projects in film, television, and theater, won many awards, an Emmy, a Tony, Oscar-nominated, and an NAACP Image Award. As many may have read last summer, it was made clear that his project will be taken on by the Weinstein Company, and The Alchemist will finally make it to the big screen, which we're very excited about. So I want to get things started. Our first segment here, Mr. Fishburn and Paulo will be discussing for about 15 minutes the message of The Alchemist, what drew Mr. Fishburn to it, the various themes in it that are important, but then we want to get right to your questions live. So we will break in at about 15 minutes and start taking your questions. So just to start off in our first segment, Mr. Fishburn, I guess maybe the way to get the conversation started would be to ask you, what initially drew you to The Alchemist, and what's kept you committed and passionate about its story and its message these many years?
I will tell you that it was interesting to hear you talk about the fact that it's 20 years. It's the 20th anniversary of The Alchemist. It was 20 years ago that I first read Paulo's book and was deeply moved, inspired, and just captured by the ideas of the book, the idea of personal legend, the idea of the soul of the world, the idea of the universe conspiring to help you when your heart really desires something. All of these themes really spoke to me and awakened something in me that made it impossible for me not to pursue my dreams, however small, however large. And I think what I took most from the book was a kind of courage that I took. There's a kind of courage that the boy Santiago has, that he gains a little bit more of with each of his experiences, whether it's the experience with the king or with the gypsy or with the crystal merchant or the Englishman, whoever. Each time he encounters somebody, he comes away a little stronger, with a little wiser, with more courage, and that courage propels him forward. So that's kind of what I was able to take from the first reading of the book. Which I think has carried me through up until this moment, as we think about, as we plan to bring the book to the screen, and I think a lot of people can probably relate to it on that level.
Excellent. Well, as we discussed, by the way, I'm Mark Tauber. I'm the publisher of Harper One, the publisher of The Alchemist here in the U.S. As we discussed, we really would like this to be a conversation, so I'm going to hand it over to Paulo to take it away.
Okay. Right. First of all, I would like to thank Lawrence to participate on that, because, of course, we expect Mark, who did not introduce himself at the very beginning, but he's a publisher, my publisher, to participate. But then Lawrence kindly agreed to participate on this chat, which gives really a lot of extra visibility to it. Second, I first met Lawrence, I think, if I'm not wrong, 5 years ago. Is that correct, Lawrence?
Yes, it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago in London, no?
Yes. He went, I said, okay, let's talk and let's meet, and I was in Brazil, and then we decided that London was the best place to meet. And Lawrence went down. We stayed in the same hotel, And Lawrence went down, and he was jet-lagged, but we were so enthusiastic, we started talking immediately. And he said, well, I just came here to talk about the movie, but I'm going also to buy a motorcycle. Did you buy the motorcycle? Did you buy the motorcycle, Lawrence?
I think it was the Aston Martin. I think I had come to learn how to drive the Aston Martin.
Okay. so, and then there was this. We immediately connect to each other.
Yes.
And I felt that the book was in very good hands. Recently, I was in Cannes in March or May this year, and then we learned that now Harvey Weinstein not bought the rights, but he's going to do The Alchemist together with Lawrence, and I feel very honored and very pleased to see that, because as you probably know, I was always very reluctant to sell the rights of my books. I say, I don't see that a movie is necessarily something that happens after a book is published. So for this past, let's say 20 years, I sold The Alchemist, I sold Veronica Decides to Die, and I sold the 11 Minutes. But that was all. And still, I don't want to be directly committed because I think it's not my language. My language is the written word. It is book. But I have full confidence, not only in Lawrence Fishburne and Weinstein, but also in people who are producing. Veronica is already finished. We're going to see the premiere next year. And 11 Minutes... 11 Minutes is being, in the pre-production part.
Wow.
That said, it's quite exciting to have this live chat with a lot of people and having the possibility of discussing. I'm not reading, by the way, the questions, because if I read, I need to put glasses. And if I put glasses, I'll be distracted. Someone says, smile, Paulo. Come on, smile. Smile. So anyway, I'm listening to Lawrence, and so Lawrence, good news about The Alchemist, right?
No, it's great news that we had a conversation. Harvey Weinstein and I had a conversation, a meeting here in Los Angeles, I would say about 7 or 8 months ago, and we went back and forth, and I was explaining to him some of what I had been through with trying to develop the movie when it was over at Warner Brothers, because for years it was over at Warner Brothers, and I struggled with them since about 2000, really trying to explain to them my vision for the movie, and also trying to accommodate them and trying to create something that would make them happy, that would satisfy them. They are in the business of making bigger films, larger films, and many people that I talk with talk about The Alchemist, and they talk about it in terms of being a very intimate story and a smaller story. I had made attempts in all of the drafts that I have written since, I guess, about 2000. I've written about 8 different drafts, starting with a very, very small, intimate one, all the way up to a sort of big tentpole, almost action-orientated event. And I was never really able to get Warner Brothers to actually see what my vision was, or at least get behind what my vision was. So over the years, it was a struggle, but we were able to negotiate with them and retain the rights for my company. And then we went out to people like the Weinstein Company and other smaller movie companies in an attempt to try and raise the funds to make this movie. We also went out to some investors in the Middle East, in particular the Royal Group out of Abu Dhabi. We had several meetings with them. Everyone expressed interest. Everyone expressed that they really wanted to be involved with the making of the film. But for many reasons, we were never able to make a deal. And so with Harvey, suddenly, we were able to come to an agreement. And evidently, the Weinstein Company has actually been interested in being involved with The Alchemist for many years. Quietly, they've been investigating who had the rights and how they could get involved. And it wasn't until this year that we were able to sit down, Harvey and myself, and talk about it. And, you know, when, like you describe in the book, when you really want something, the universe conspires to help you, and not always in ways that that you would expect, or in ways that may be smooth and easy for you. Sometimes the universe presents you with a situation that challenges you. And I believe that, you know, this is going to continue to be challenging for everybody that's involved. But I think it's a challenge that will the end result of this challenge will help us to create a film that is truly reflective of the book and your intentions in the book.
Yeah,
and
but sorry.
I'm sorry, and that hopefully will satisfy not just people who love the book and readers of the book, but people who also haven't had any exposure to the book as well.
Yeah, as I'm totally out of this movie business, let me tell you a story. Probably you don't know, or probably you know. Mm-hmm. This year in Cannes, because Harvey Weinstein, he's a big producer, but I did not know his name. I knew Miramax, etc.
Right.
Okay, Harvey Weinstein or John Weinberg, for me, at that moment were the same person. So, so I was in Cannes. And I go once a year to Cannes because I have to party sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I say, so my period of partying is Cannes. So I go to Cannes for 10 days with no professional commitments, nothing, just to have fun. Right. And by the way, my new book is about Cannes, and it will be published next year in U.S.
Wow.
So I was, I was having fun. And then I started getting calls, first from you, from Lawrence, said, we have a press conference on Sunday. And I said, press conference on Sunday? But, Lawrence, I'm here just to have fun, not to have press conference. No, but they are going to contact you. So this was Friday. And then Saturday, I started getting SMS, faxes, emails, but I'm talking about hundreds. And everybody inviting me to this press conference on Sunday. And, well, they're waiting for you at 10 o'clock, imagine. 10 o'clock is like 5 o'clock in the morning in a normal city. So Saturday evening, my phone was ringing non-stop, and I said, I'm going to switch off the phone. Then I went to my room, and there was I cannot say, but let's say 20 faxes, and then I said, well, it's easy. I put do not disturb in my door. I close the door. I go to sleep, and I take the phone. I unplug the phone, which I did. I did everything. Do not disturb. Right. I knew that they were going to knock my door at 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And then 9 o'clock in the morning, they knocked my door, and I said, okay, do not disturb. I can tolerate that. But I went and I saw this hole, and I saw 2 ladies and three men. I said, they're going to knock the door, but they have a press conference at 10 o'clock. They are not going to knock the door forever, so I can go back to sleep. So then 9:30, they knock the door again. Oh, goodness. And this time I go again, I look, my God, these people, they have really a perseverance, and the whole universe is conspiring. Believe it or not, as I don't answer, I hear the click of a key in my door. And there I am in underwear and T-shirt. Oh, and no. These 5 people, they go inside my room. Wow. And say, you have a press conference, man. I said, no, but I don't have a press conference. It is a shame that I'm here in Cannes, alone in this room. So, second, and they say, you are a living legend. I say, look to the living legend, in underwear, barefoot, and a T-shirt. This is a living legend. I know I'm a living legend, but and I'm not going to this press conference, and I'm going to call the police if you don't leave my room. Exactly that. Oh, we are going to be fired. We are going to be fired. No. Okay. And then, they left. There was the press conference. And then Harvey Weinstein came at 12 o'clock to meet me for the first time.
My God.
And then I said, Harvey, do you know what people did? He said, yes, but, we want you to be present in this press conference. And I said, Harvey, if there is one person in this world who is going to do this movie, it is you. Because you are capable of everything.
Yes.
Including going inside the room of someone that you never met before. He could be naked, he could be with a lover, with a man, everybody. You never know what's going on inside of a room. They really opened the door of the room. Fantastic. I will never forget that story. And I think if there is a person who goes to the end to do something, is Harvey Weinstein.
Yes, it's Harvey. I mean, Harvey really has a reputation for being, relentless when it comes to something that he wants. So, So I think we're going to have the right kind of backing with his company. We're going to have the right kind of support. And at this moment, it's really about filtering through and finding some other younger writers to work with. I'm going to be writing with some other people. And I've been looking at some scripts. I've just read something called The Book Thief by a writer called Michael Petroni, and another script called The Beasts of No Nation. So two of these young writers who I hope to meet with and sit down with and talk about, figuring out a common vision for the film.
My God, it's so complicated to make a movie, isn't it?
Most people don't realize that the wheels of movie making spin very, very, very slowly. It's like glaciers moving across the earth. I mean, I can't tell you how many pictures it has taken, 10 years to get something made, 20 years to get something made. I did a movie called Apocalypse Now that took more than 30 years to get it made from...
No, don't tell me these stories, Lawrence. Don't tell me these stories.
No, listen, you have to know that Orson Welles was trying to make the book, the Joseph Conrad novella, Hearts of Darkness. He was trying to make it in the 30s.
My God.
And then,
Coppola made it.
And Coppola made it with John Milius.
You were starring this.
Yeah.
It was your first movie, wasn't it?
It was, actually it was my second movie, but it was basically 30 years from the time that someone had the idea. And, Orson Welles was a great filmmaker, and in his day, he was very popular at this point. It wasn't like, he had trouble getting the money or anything, but for whatever reason, that film fell apart. But there's a lot of movies that take a long time to get made, and the reality is that sometimes, I think more often than not, it is actually worth the time that it takes to get something made because it ensures that it gets made the proper way.
Yeah. I had now an experience doing a movie with my readers called The Experimental Witch, and we select. I had this idea out of the blue because I'm becoming an internet junkie. I have to go to a clinic, to get rid of this addiction. But so far I still did not go. And so I thought, why don't do a movie together with my readers?
Okay.
And so we got over 6,000 people participating. We selected 15. And then they sent to me some making of.
Right.
And then you see that even for, people who are starting to do things now, they have such a gigantic effort, to make a 15-minute episode.
Sure. No, undertaking a movie is not unlike going to war. You have to move people from different countries. The logistics of making war are the same logistics of making a movie, except you don't leave a path of destruction with you. You might damage someone's home. You might interrupt someone's life momentarily, like New Yorkers hate it because movie companies are always getting in the way of New Yorkers getting their morning cup of coffee. But, it is quite an undertaking to make a film.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter what size it is. It's always a big job.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. This is fascinating backstory, I know for myself, and I'm sure for all of our listeners out there. Now there's just 10 times as much anticipation to see this thing actually on the screen. We're very excited.
Great.
I think we want to thank you, Mr. Fishburn, for being on the call. And we want to turn it over now to the many, many listeners. And I want to point out that this is, in fact, a very international event. We've got folks from Nigeria, Bulgaria, South Africa, Ireland, all over the U.S. And so we're gonna throw this over to the callers. I want to point out that if you are on the phone, and we see many of you there, press the number 1 on your phone, and it will raise the hand on the conference, and we'll be able to see that you do indeed have a question for Paulo. So let's get started. And the first question is from our caller, Sanad. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it's a question, Paulo, for you that is, what was it that inspired you to write The Alchemist those many years ago?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank again Lawrence Fishburn to participate. He is, over this year, we became friends, and this is what is beautiful about the thing that we work, that it is basically art.
Yes.
And art make us feel close to each other. We share the same values, we share the same perception of the world.
Yes.
So, Lawrence, thank you and good luck. And I'm sure that we are not going to wait another 30 years to see The Alchemist.
No, we're not going to wait another 30 years to see anything, man. I love you and thank you too, man.
Yeah, and now I want to see the movie. As for the question, first, thank you. So what's her name again? Sorry? The name of the lady?
Sanad.
Denad.
Sanad, yes, Paula. Sanad is the name.
Okay, so thank you for the question.
We're trying to put her on the line, but we're having some trouble. But the question is, what initially inspired you to write The Alchemist?
Yeah. So, in fact, The Alchemist is my second book. I was thinking, after writing The Pilgrimage, well, it was a turning point in my life. I want to be a writer, but I was postponing my dream for many years. I wrote The Pilgrimage when I was 40 years old, a time that we were thinking to retire. I was thinking about starting a new career. So I start with The Pilgrimage because it was my personal legend. And then I said, I need to write in the next book. And I thought, my God, what I'm going to write about? The Pilgrimage is a non-fiction book. And to switch from non-fiction to fiction is quite complicated. I saw a lot of writers who died in this process.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought, anyway, I don't have another experience as transcendental as The Pilgrimage, so I have to do a kind of evaluation of my life to think, why did it take so long for me to write my first book? And I said, I cannot write a biography. I was too old to start a new career, which I did, but I was too young to start a biography, to write a biography. Who cares about my life when I was 40 years old? Probably now, but not when I was 40 years old, except me, of course, because I want to continue to be alive, which I'm still today. So, so I said, I have to write a metaphor. Why did it take so long to write my first book? And I sat down and I had no clue where to start and how, because a book for me is also a way of thinking about myself and think about my own journey. And then I read this very small tale in one of Arabian Nights books because there are several, huh? And it is an 11-line long story about someone who goes to search for a treasure, and at the end, the treasure is at his backyard. It's also in the Hasidic tradition. It is also in Rumi. You can find this story nearly everywhere. And I said, well, at the end of the day, I was trying to find my personal legend. I knew my personal legend, but I did not dare to live my personal legend. So I'm going to use that like someone who has to make this long journey back to himself.
Yes.
And I chose The Alchemist. And then the book was published in Brazil because the pilgrimage was fairly successful, but not The Alchemist. The Alchemist sold 900 copies in its first year, which is nothing, even considering Brazilian standards. I remember that there was a bookseller in the northeastern part of Brazil who ordered, based on the phenomenal success of the pilgrimage, meaning 3,000 copies, he ordered 12 books. And so there were this pile of 12 books of The Alchemist sitting there. And he sold one on the very first day. He was very excited and took another 6 months to sell the second copy to the same person that he sold the first one. So he said, this book is not going to work. And my first publisher handed me over the contract, said, okay, this book is never going to work. It is a fiction. Nobody knows if it is for adults or for children or for teenagers or for old people. So it's not going to work. And I knew that I had no way back. I had committed myself to my dream. So I could fail. I could be defeated. But I could not go back. I had burned my bridges. So
fantastic. Paulo,
yeah?
Paulo, I wanted to jump in. That's fantastic. We have another caller that we want to put on the line, Jeannie, for the next question.
So I stopped the story about The Alchemist. Okay. Mark, you're very bad. Okay. I'm too talkative. I'm going to be very direct. Okay.
So, Jeannie, are you there?
I am here. Hello, Paulo. How are you?
Sorry, Jenny. I was talking, about my whole life, and you were waiting for.
It is a very interesting life, and I certainly do not mind waiting. But I was really interested in and curious about, are you interested in doing any sequels to your books? Is there any potential to elaborate specifically like 11 minutes, or is there any further that you want to do with The Alchemist?
No, Jenny. I think that, I never thought about doing a sequel. Of course, publishers, not Mark, who's going to cut me again if I'm too talkative.
You just have so many fans.
I try to be direct. The publishers, they always want to know, because at the end of The Alchemist, there is no end. He goes back to the oasis. So the last sentence is, I'm coming home, Fatima. But then when someone comes home, he can find something different, or the situation can change. But so the publishers say, you should write a sequel of The Alchemist. And but no. The answer is no. As for 11 minutes, the same. After she lived, it's based also, in this case it is based in a real person, Maria. But then she went to Lausanne. She stopped being a prostitute. She went to Lausanne and in Switzerland. And she married the main character, and then she got divorced. This is not a good sequel for the book, right? So better to stop the book at the end, and when you put the final dot, it is the final dot.
Thank you, Paulo.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay,
right.
So we have someone online from chat, Mindy, and her question is, you've written a book that has inspired an entire generation. Thank you for that. But can you share with us what books inspire you?
I can. Well, I think that I was a compulsive reader from the very beginning, so I think that when I was a teenager, then you start really reading things that are going to interfere in your way of thinking. So I would say Borges, the Argentine writer, that I discovered in a science fiction anthology, a story called the Library of Babel. And then Henry Miller, believe it or not. I'm a Henry Miller fan. I have a lot of memorabilia from Henry Miller. I buy things, old contracts, paintings. I even go to places that Henry Miller went when he was alive. You know, so Henry Miller had a lot of impact. I would say William Blake, because his way of seeing the world. He was a visionary. He was a man who could see the universe in a grain of sand. Who else? Well, I think if these three names pop up in my mind, I would say these are the three biggest influences. As for Brazil, the best Brazilian writer is Jorge Amado. He's simply great, and he's magical, and he was the one who describes Brazil in a way that I could never do it.
Excellent.
Mark?
Excellent. Thank you, Paulo. We have another question online. Have you been surprised over these last 20 years with the reception of The Alchemist, or did you know because of your personal legends that it would go on to do what it's done? Can you comment on that?
Oh, of course, I've been more than surprised. I've been overwhelmed by the success, because we Brazilians, we don't have this tradition of being translated, let alone The Alchemist today is translated in 68 languages, if I'm not wrong. I'm going to get a diploma from the Guinness Book of Records as the most translated living author during the Frankfurt Book Fair, now in 1 month from now. So next Guinness Book of Records, you're going to see me there as the most living author, translated author. And how could I dream about that? You know, I was not born in France or in U.S. or in UK. I write in Portuguese. But why the book is so successful? There is one answer to that. It is the reader. It is the reader who recommends the book to the next reader, to another reader. So regardless what the publishing houses do as for promotion, at the end of the line, it is the reader who decides. You can put tons of ads and spend a lot of money, but if the reader does not like, he will just ignore you. But if he likes, and if he thinks that the book is worth for someone else to read, he's going to give. And it was like this, including my first the translation of The Alchemist and the Pilgrimage in U.S. It was a reader who saw the book and said, I'm going to translate it, and I'm going to publish this book in U.S. And of course I said, who cares about a Brazilian writer in U.S. or in France or wherever? But this person, Alan Clark, who was very, very, very perseverant, he went to HarperCollins, Harper San Francisco at that time, and little by little, The Alchemist in U.S. And all over the world, well, got this word of mouth promotion that there is no substitute whatsoever.
Amazing story. So we have Jerry on the line. Jerry, can you come on and ask your question?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Mr. Coelho, how are you?
How are you, Jerry?
Good. I know The Alchemist has been your most popular book. There are others I like just as well, The Valkyries and The Pilgrimage. Do you feel it's your strongest book, or do you feel there's another book that has more resonance, more depth to it than The Alchemist?
Well, this is a very good question. No, the answer is no. Every single book that I write, I put the best of myself. So each book reflects either a curiosity or question that I have about this particular moment or whatever. So if I have to single out one book, it will be, of course, The Pilgrimage, because it was my turning point. Not because it is, resonates more than other books, but it was a book that made me dare to start writing or to burn my bridges. So every single book, they can be better or worse. You can like it, you can dislike it, but every single book, I'm totally committed to every single word that I write. So all of them are mirrors of my own soul.
All right, so we have Darren on the line who has a question for you, Mr. Fishburn.
Very good.
Hi, Mr. Fishburn. I'd like to know how you went about pursuing your dreams.
Oh, goodness. I looked to a lot of people and took inspiration from many different artists working in many different disciplines. You know, other actors, you know, the great actors, Sidney Poitier, James Earl Jones, Richard Burton, Peter O'Toole, Katharine Hepburn, you name it. Also great musicians, Thelonious Monk, Duke Ellington, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, you name it. As I said 20 years ago, I read this book that Paulo wrote, The Alchemist, and there was something about each encounter that Santiago had with the various characters that when he came away from them, I felt that his courage had increased. It takes tremendous courage to pursue your dreams, particularly in the face of adversity, particularly when people often will tell you, I don't know, you really think you want to do that? People will challenge you when you express a need to fulfill a dream. And it requires great commitment and great courage to do those things. So I look to other dreamers who have actually attained what it is they were after and recognize that in their ability to fulfill their dreams and make their dreams come true, I recognize that it's possible for me too, and use that as kind of a guide.
Excellent. From our chat, from our user Greco Talk, Paulo, a question for you, a very practical question about your writing process. Do you use a computer or do you handwrite things out?
Look here, very practical answer. A keyboard and oh my God, I touched some button. I hope that I did not destroy the chat. Can you still hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
We can hear you.
No, I always used it. Since when I was 15, my father asked me, you want to go to traveling or you want a typewriting machine? And I said, I want a typewriting machine. And I had a lot of discipline because I had to start typing ASDFG. Because when you're young, you say, I want to learn this very quickly. But I said, this is going to be very useful to my life. So I started this exercise in typing. And since then, I only write in keyboards. Now, of course, computers. But then a typewriting machine, and then an electrical typewriting machine. So my train of thought does not follow my handwriting. Of course, I have pens. But and I don't take notes either. I take notes that I forget. I write. Today I wrote. What did I write today? I wrote State of Denial. I knew that it was a book, but it took me hours to remember what does it mean that I wrote. So I prefer not to take notes, and I prefer to use electronic media. And more I'm getting involved in the Internet. I think this is a direct way to communicate to the readers. So I have a lot of social communities that I actively participate. Sometimes people think that I'm not there, that it is a clone. No, it is me. I'm not saying that I read everything, but I read as much as I can, and I answer as much as I can. So I have my blog, I have my website. Website's more so to say, conventional, so more information. But but in the social community, I'm very active. And let me add something, Mark. Please don't don't cut me.
No.
I think that writing is changing. Meaning that the way that you write for books is different than the way that you write for a blog or for a social community. So I'm trying to exercise new types of writing and understanding that for internet is totally different. So keyboard was, and I hope will be my main tool as far as writing goes.
Great. Tatiana, are you on the line? You have a question for Paulo.
Hi, Paulo. Greetings from New York. I have two questions really quick. When are you gonna come to New York? And my second question is, Santiago found his treasure. What's your treasure now, today?
Okay, when I'm going to come to New York, as soon as possible. Let's wait another 3 months. So then.
I've been waiting for you since last year.
No, but I was there. I was there in 2002, right after the 7/11, because I felt that I should go there, and so I was there in January 2002, and for a forum. And then, then things happened, and I said, I'm going back when I'm not an American citizen, but I said when Bush finishes his mandate, I'm going to return. Nothing to do with America, but nothing to do with anything. But I felt that it would be better to go right after the end of his mandate.
And we will be waiting with you with open arms for you here.
Regardless who wins, if it is McCain or Obama, I'm going anyway.
Good.
All right.
Excellent.
And what's your treasure now, today?
My treasure is to be alive. I think my treasure, we have to treasure every single day. To be alive, to be able to talk to you. You know, it's just so many things happening at the same time, you know. I'm here talking to you from France, and you're in New York. You have an accent. You're not Brazilian, I guess.
I'm Colombian.
Yes, you have Colombian accent.
Yeah, I have read your book in Spanish and English many times, and that's
great.
gift that I give to someone.
Because Tatiana is a very common name in Brazil also. So I think that my treasure is to be faithful to what I do, because I could be sitting, if it was money-wise, I could be sitting, let's say, in a boring island with a boring yacht, looking to a boring sunset, because I had nothing to do. But I'm a warrior. I'm a person who loves acting, and so here I am, facing new challenges, new books, new releases, new interviews, and new technologies, and this is my way of living.
Thanks so much, Tatiana. I want to remind everyone that you can call in with your questions. We still have time at 347-945-6141. Paulo, we have a question for you from the online chat group from Hellas, which is, are you still in love, and do you think that love has become less of a phenomenon these days?
I read this question. I read this question. Love can never become less than a phenomenon. I think that love is what moves the universe. Yes, I'm still in love, of course. I'm still in love with my wife. There's also another remark. Oh, he's married. And I'm still in love with my work, which I hope, which I'm sure that also Lawrence is in love.
Oh, yes.
We would do that not for fame, not for money. We do that because we really love what we do.
Exactly.
And I cannot see my future just sitting down and looking to the past and say, oh, I did this and that and that. And being a writer, you guess at least, that this is going to last more than a generation. You're still going to see Lawrence's movies. Well, when Lawrence is dead, Lawrence, you're going to die. I'm going to die also. So all of us, we are going to die, and people can still read my books when I'm dead. But I think that the miracle in my life is and love is what justifies this struggle, this good fight, these things that it is to be here and accepting new challenges as a child. Because basically I feel like a child. I feel like someone who is facing a new horizon with the same enthusiasm and excitement, not with the same naivety and with a much more experience, but with the same enthusiasm as I had when I was a child.
Excellent. And we have another question for you, Paulo, from online, Juan Blisk, which is a question about the title and the titling of The Alchemist. And it's curious to this listener, reader, that though the main character is a shepherd, you chose to call it The Alchemist. Can you comment on that?
I can, Mark, and I don't know if you know this story, but when the title came before the book, I wrote the title. There are things that you cannot explain. I wrote the title, and The Alchemist, and I said, why The Alchemist? And I said, well, probably I should put this 11-line long story I don't know, probably a shepherd boy. Then I started elaborating, and people were very surprised with the title because they said that the title does not correspond to the book because The Alchemist arrives at the end. So the first big market was U.S., and then the people that Mark does not remember, of course, he was too young. They said, oh, wonderful book, we're going to publish, we're going to print 50,000 copies. That for an author is quite impressive, but you have to change the title. And the new title will be The Shepherd and His Dream. And I said, my God, what do they mean? At the same time, from Germany, they changed the title without consulting me. And the title is The Secret of the Pyramids. And then when I went to China, of course, I changed publishing house in Germany thanks to that. Mm-hmm. But I went to HarperCollins and I said, come on, The Shepherd and His Dream. And I said, the Secret of the Pyramids is so esoteric, so new age, and has nothing to do with the book. And they said, but, The Alchemist has nothing to do with the book either. There are no alchemists, only at the end of the book. And I said, keep this title. And they said, no. And I said, who was I to face HarperCollins, huh? And I said, because you know your limits, right? So I said, I'm not going to publish the book with you. They said, no, you're going to publish because you signed it, but you're not going to put a single penny on the promotion of the book. And I said, okay, don't put a single penny, but publish with this title. And I'm glad that I succeeded because I'm so convinced that the title should be The Alchemist, and it is The Alchemist. And then, just to finish the story of the title, once I went to China, I was already a famous author, and I saw the title in Chinese, but I thought it was too big for what's The Alchemist. Moreover, the Chinese, they have these characters that they put a character, blah blah, and this means the man who was doing that. One character, right? Imagine that in the cover of The Alchemist there was, let's say, 15 or 20 characters. Wow. I said, what does it mean? This is the title of the book. I said, but what's the title of this book? And they said, The Wonderful Story of the Shepherd Boy Who Went to Find the Treasure. I said, my God, no. You have to change this title immediately. And then I went back to one character. That means The Alchemist.
Right.
Very good. I did not know that story, Paulo. So we're getting lots and lots of questions online about your beliefs, thoughts on reincarnation.
Yeah. Well, before, let me ask something that I read. In the chat is about Khalil Gibran. There are 4 or 5 questions about Khalil Gibran. He's a master. He's unique. He was able to his books, they are just great. I forgot to quote him as also a huge influence, because in one page he's capable of summarizing themes like love, children, etc. So yes,
the children one is amazing. I use the children one as an actor, as a piece to often audition with early in my career. The piece about children is just as an aside, because
it is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So sorry, Mark. What is the question?
So many users we're seeing are asking Paulo about your beliefs in reincarnation.
Okay.
What you think?
What do I think? I do believe in life after death, if this is the question. But to be sure, ask me that when I'm dead. Okay.
Answer.
Oh, wow.
Answer. One other online question is another question about your process, your writing process, Paulo, and in particular with The Alchemist. What were some of the biggest challenges or the biggest challenge you faced in actually finishing the writing of the book?
Any book?
Well, I guess you could. The question is about The Alchemist, but I think it would be fair to answer for all of your books.
I think that the challenge itself is to start and to finish. It sounds like a stupid answer, but it is not. When you start something, you have to finish. And I start and finished several books that I did not publish, because they were not spontaneous. They were not part of my soul. They were just books that I started writing, and then I said I have to finish and then get rid of this karma of this book that it is not good, and go till I find the book. Because as for my writing process, you have to go deep into your heart. And your heart normally is covered by layers and layers of prejudices and fears, etc. So when you go deep into your heart, there is a book that it is hidden there. So, but to do that, you have to be brave enough to delete the other books. I give you an example. Sorry. Brida, that was just released in the U.S. I was planning to write about my feminine side, and that was back in 1990. And in 1990, I had this pilgrimage called the Road to Rome, that it is for you to develop your feminine side. So I said, okay, now I'm going to sit and write about my experience, and I could not. So I had to use Brida, that it is also a real character, to tell my own experience. But first, I tried several times to put in a paper what I experienced during this journey. Or 11 minutes. I always thought about writing on sexuality. And I said, okay, let's talk about sex in how sex should be seen. But when I wrote 11 minutes, I was over 55. I don't remember, but I was over 55. So I have a different perception on sex that I had when I was young. And the tendency was to talk about sex from the perspective of a 55-year-old man, knowing all these traps and things that are in between you and the sacred sexuality. So at the end of the day, I had to find the most mundane approach to sex, that it is prostitution, to be capable of writing 11 minutes. And then I had to find the right person by chance, even if I don't believe that things happen by chance and things like this. So it depends which book, but at the end you have to start and finish. And if you don't like, throw in the waste bin, but don't stop in the middle. It's dangerous to stop in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So we have another caller. Maria, are you on the line?
Yes.
Hello, Maria. You're not for 11 minutes, are you?
No, but yeah, I kind of like represent myself in the book. I'm from Argentina, by the way. How are you, Paulo?
How are you?
Good. My question for you is, how do you know when you are pursuing your dreams and you come across a lot of obstacles? So how do you really identify if that's the right path for you, or maybe you think it's your dream, but maybe it's not for you? So you come across a lot of again, as I said, obstacles. How do you know when you have to give it up or keep on fighting for it?
Okay, Maria, two answers for the same question. The first one is the fact that things are difficult does not mean that it's not your dream. At least in my case, I had many difficult moments. I was in a mental institution. I was arrested. I was, in very difficult situations in my life. But I persevered. I had this dream that, as I told you before, I only start fulfilling when I was over 40. That said, the other answer is when it is your dream. So when it is your dream, you're ready to move heaven and earth to get to it. And you have to learn how to do that because the universe is conspiring. But let's elaborate a little bit more on this universe is conspiring because people, they are sometimes very self-destructive. And the universe is not moral. The universe does not judge. This is a good dream or a bad dream. The universe fulfills your dream. So sometimes you have so bad thoughts and inputs about yourself, and the universe is there. If you are sabotaging yourself, if you are trying to boycott yourself, the universe is helping you to boycott yourself. So you have to be very careful. But you know what makes you happy. And during a day, 24 hours, there will be this glimpse, this magic moment that that is what makes me happy, even if the other thing that you are doing is somehow, let's say, fulfilling the expectation of people around you. But you know what is going to fulfill your expectation. So the next question is, but if I follow my dream, I'm going to hurt people that I love. No, you're not going to hurt people that you love. You're going probably to surprise them, and they will be worried about you, and they will say you're crazy, but then at the end, they will be happy. Think about my parents. My parents, they were desperate when I decided to be a writer, and they did everything to keep him away from my dream. But when I was capable or brave enough to continue to do this, here am I talking to you. Mark,
Thank you,
next. Thank you, Maria.
We have another caller. Shabana, are you on the line? Shabana? I guess that person is not on the line. So we'll move on to an online question, which is for you, Paulo, about if you had the chance to start your life again, what would you change?
Okay. If is a word that does not exist for me. Okay, I crossed this word, if, in my dictionary. Because if is very beautiful as far as Kipling's poem, but that's all. If you keep this if in your life, you always think, if I took this road, if I did that thing, and then you're going to be confused and you're going to be lost. When you do it. And I have to stress the fact that regardless of the decision that you take, it is always the right decision. Because if you're in good connection with God, God is going to drive you up to, even if you took the wrong decision, quote, you're going to be guided towards the right decision. But forget about this. So if I have to start my life again, there is a question that it is impossible to answer because I lived my life, and this is always that I have to share. And to answer you, I'm very satisfied. I had my share of losing. I had my tears. I had my difficult moments. I have the moments that I thought I'm totally lost. I have the moments that I thought I'm worthless. I still have my moments of doubts, but I'm glad that I survived. I'm here.
Excellent. Well, Shabana, are you now on the line again? Did we get you back?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Shabana.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Coelho. It's an honor.
It's my pleasure. Huh?
My question is actually for Mr. Fishburn, though.
Okay.
Hey, my question is, do you find any similarities between the character you play on The Matrix, Morpheus, and the character of the Alchemist?
Well, it's a good question, and I think the characters are very similar in that just in terms of classical movie characters and archetypes, Morpheus is the dark mentor, and the alchemist in many respects is the dark mentor, at least when we first meet him. The dark mentor being the teacher who challenges you and pushes you harder than he pushes you to go further than you think you are able to go, and helps you make the breakthrough that you need to make in order to really get back to yourself. And so in that respect, yes, I think the characters are very similar.
Great answer. Great answer.
Excellent. Thank you. So we're reaching the end here, and I just want to remind callers we have very, very little time left. If you do have a call, again, 347-945-6141. I think that one question that is sort of a general question coming in from all angles, and certainly as your publisher, Paulo, I hear all the time, is could you just say a word or two about the personal legend, and what is a personal legend?
The personal legend is something that makes you not happy, but full of joy. It is the reason why you're here for. It is the reason that why you're struggling to get to the point that you think you'll be happy. You're not going to be happy, huh? You're just going to be full of joy. It's like a writer. Okay, my personal legend is to be a writer. Writer is nothing, huh? It's just a profession. So a writer needs to write books, which I'm doing now. And each new book is a new challenge. So I think that you find a path and you go through this path. And while walking this path, you're going, as I said to the question before, you may move to left and to right, but you're going to get there. And you're going to get there by following your intuition. That is the key word. You know, nobody can cheat you. You can cheat yourself. So you know when you're doing something that makes you happy, and when you're doing something that makes you, well, nothing, not even unhappy. Huh? So if you have this spark in your heart, then you know that there is a clue in that direction, and then you move there. You are a little bit disorientated, and then you have a new spark, and little by little you start to realize your personal legend. In case that you don't know what your personal legend is, but normally people know. Let me ask you, Lawrence, did you know always that you want to be an actor?
I didn't know, but I found out when I was 10 years old. When I was 10 years old, I got my first job as an actor. And it changed everything for me, because up until that point I wanted to be a doctor, and I wanted to be a doctor because that's what I thought my mother wanted me to be. And then I wanted to be a basketball player, and I thought I wanted to be a basketball player because I thought all of my friends would really, really like me and look up to me and respect me. But when I did my first job as an actor at the age of 10, I had an epiphany. I had the moment where I realized that as an actor, I could be anything and everything that I ever wanted to be. Anything that I could dream of being, I could be. And I knew in that moment that that's what I would do. And it filled me with joy, as you said, and it continues to fill me with joy, because it means that there are no limits for me in my life. Yeah.
Well, we have a question from a Catholic reader, Paolo. You said, before that you are a Catholic, and this reader wants to know, how is it that you practice your faith, and how is it that this faith informs your writing?
Well, it's not you, the reader. It's you, Mark, because you're a Catholic, I guess, no?
I'm a Protestant, actually, but I'm very serious in the question.
God bless you.
God bless you. Yeah. I'm a Catholic, and which does not mean that I totally agree with the Church, but I respect the mysteries of the Catholic Church. So I have a devotion for Virgin Mary. I go to the Mass. I think that Mass is beyond, any human interaction. It is really the most perfect ritual I ever saw in my life. I try to be a good Catholic. I think that I'm not, but I do my best. That said, for example, I think that whenever the Pope speaks about religion, okay, but when the Pope starts speaking about politics, as he did recently, I think this is a disaster. I think this is a disaster. He should, if he wants to run for president, perfect. Run for president. He's German, I think, to Germany. But don't mix something that it is spiritual with politics. I think there is one ethics that must be followed, which is never do to your neighbor what you don't want your neighbor to do to you. So this is the only law. By the way, it's not a Catholic law because it is a Jewish tradition. The Catholics say, love your neighbor as you should love as you love yourself, which is a tricky way of putting it, because sometimes A, you don't love yourself. Right. B, you love yourself, but you want to impose also your values to your neighbor. So if you go to the Jewish conception of this ethics, and you see, don't do to someone something that you don't want this person to do to you, then it makes your life easy. Having said that, my books has nothing to do with my religion. I never wrote about Catholicism. Sometimes I touch Catholicism because it is close to me, but it has nothing to do directly with my faith. Of course, this ethics is present in every single religion in the world. So it's just a matter of respecting your neighbor. So that's why what I see today, people trying to impose their way of seeing reality, religion, this neocons, this thing of being too conservative and seeing a sin in everything. This is absurd. This is pathetic. And the Catholic Church is going also through this trend of intolerance, which I see with very bad feelings towards that.
Yeah. Do we have Naima on the call? We're winding down here. Naima, are you on the phone? Okay, it sounds like you're not there, Naima. We want to wrap with one last question, very, very important question, certainly one we get here a lot, and that is Naima, are you on the line?
I am.
I'm sorry. There you go, Naima.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, Mr. Coelho, I want to say...
Please, call me Paulo. Call me
Paulo, okay. Coming across your book, The Alchemist, was an omen. It was a key to bringing me back to just focus on bringing my career in fashion and entertainment back on track. And I want to thank you for that. The book is filled with so many profound statements and thoughts. And it's one that I'm going to definitely read and continue to read just to keep the dream alive. And Mr. Fishburn, I was elated to hear about your production of the movie, and I'm just excited to see how it all turns out. I'm sure it's going to turn out great. I'm even excited to see how Santiago turns himself into the wind, and I can't wait.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
We're all excited.
Well, I want to wrap this up. I want to thank both Paulo and Mr. Lawrence Fishburn for being on the line and answering so many questions. And thank all of you for dialing in and for being online. It's been a lively chat. We've watched it. Want to mention that very, very special, unique, first time ever where you can click on the page, and the Authors on Air page, you will see ads for a personalized edition of The Alchemist. That is one that you will be exactly the Alchemist you know and love, but with a personalized introduction especially good for gift giving. Click on any of the ads you see around the page on Authors on Air, and you'll be able to create that and have it shipped directly to your home. The second thing we want to say is that there are going to be many more of these Author on Air shows. Check AuthorsOnAir.com. You can also go to HarperCollins.com and sign up for a variety of newsletters, including a newsletter for Paulo Coelho and any of his future publications, so you will get an early warning. And as we said, as Paulo mentioned, his next book is coming out next year. So thanks, everyone, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Mark.
Paulo. Thank you, Mark.
And thank you, the readers.
Yeah.
Bravo to the readers. They were there. And they are your supporters, I'm sure, Lawrence.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. All right.
Excellent. We can't wait.
Be well, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Paula. A gente só teve 185 users.
Isso eu acho que era a pessoa que está olhando do chat. Depois, quantas pessoas estão escutando?
Você pode procurar saber?
Posso.
Quantas pessoas a gente teve? Porque a gente só veio 185 users. O que é? Mas foi bom, meu amor? Só, eu tinha que falar do Bush, sabe? Porque as pessoas ficam me cobrar aquele negócio. Tem que falar. Você não pode sempre ficar dando uma de bonzinho. Meu amor, você me deu um café agora?